Please, mister, buy my wolf. Mommy hasn't eaten all day.
It's okay, little one. We'll get you both something to eat right now.
The night a 5-year-old girl tugged on the sleeve of the most dangerous man in the city, fate didn't whisper, it screamed. Because the Alpha King wasn't supposed to feel. He wasn't supposed to stop. And he definitely wasn't supposed to discover that his destined mate had been surviving in the shadows, one meal away from collapse, raising a child who carried a secret that could unravel everything. But when those small fingers touched his wrist and those exhausted eyes looked up, the world he'd built on blood and silence shattered. Hey there, beautiful souls. Welcome back to Cindy's Wolfheart Stories. Please hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. It helps us keep these stories coming to you. And tell me, where are you watching from right now? The Crescent Street night market smelled like charred meat, diesel fumes, and desperation. Lucien Hale moved through it like smoke, present but untouchable. His charcoal coat hung perfectly over shoulders that had carried the weight of an entire pack for 15 years. His jaw was sharp enough to cut, his eyes the color of winter storms, and his presence made the crowd part without anyone quite knowing why. They felt him before they saw him. That primal shiver down the spine. The instinct to move. He wasn't here for the market. He was here because his beta, Gareth, had gotten sloppy. A shipment of wolfsbane-laced weapons had been intercepted by human authorities, and now Lucien had to clean up the mess before questions turned into investigations. Before the council decided his pack was a liability. Before someone discovered what they really were. He turned down a narrow alley between two vendor stalls, his phone already buzzing with updates, when a tug. Small. Insistent. On his left sleeve. Lucien stopped. He didn't stop for anyone. But his body had frozen before his brain caught up, and when he looked down, he found a little girl staring up at him. She couldn't have been older than 5. Her dark hair was pulled into 2 uneven braids, her jacket 2 sizes too big and patched at the elbows. Her shoes were worn through at the toes. But it was her eyes that made his breath catch. Old eyes. Eyes that had seen too much, felt too much, survived too much. She held up a wooden toy, a wolf, carved with surprising skill, its edges smoothed by countless small hands. The paint was fading. One ear was chipped. "By my toy, sir," she whispered. Her voice didn't shake. It didn't plead. It just was. Flat. Resigned. "Mom hasn't eaten in 3 days. The market noise fell away. Lucien's wolf, the beast that lived beneath his skin, the creature he'd learned to control with iron will, stirred for the first time in years. Not with aggression. Not with hunger. With recognition. His head snapped up. Behind the little girl, tucked into the corner of a crumbling storefront with a flickering sign that read Sarah's alterations, a woman stood at a folding table. She was pinning fabric, her movements precise despite the tremor in her hands. Her auburn hair was twisted into a messy knot. Her clothes were clean but threadbare. Her face was pale, too pale, with dark circles beneath eyes that refused to quit. She hadn't looked up. She was pretending not to notice her daughter approaching strangers. Pride. Exhaustion. Determination. All wrapped in a frame too thin, too fragile, too stubborn to break. And her scent. God's. Lucien's wolf surged forward, clawing at his control. His pupils dilated. His hands curled into fists. Honeysuckle and rain. Wild clover after a storm. Something sweet and untamed in his mate. His mate. The bond he'd been told would never manifest. The connection the moon goddess had supposedly denied him after what he'd done, after the blood he'd spilled, after the throne he'd taken by force. She was here. In a crumbling market. Starving. Struggling. Unaware. "Sir." The little girl's voice pulled him back. She was still holding the toy wolf, her small face patient. Waiting. Lucien crouched slowly, bringing himself to her eye level. His wolf was roaring now, demanding he go to the woman, claim her, protect her, fix this. But the child was watching him with those two old eyes, and something in his chest cracked. "What's your name?" he asked quietly. "Kara." "That's a strong name." He reached into his coat and pulled out his wallet. The little girl's eyes widened slightly, not with greed, but with cautious hope. He extracted $500 bills and held them out. "I'll take the wolf." Kara's small hands trembled as she took the money. She stared at it like it might vanish. This is too much." "No." Lucien's voice was low, controlled. "It's not enough. Mom says we don't take charity." "It's not charity. I'm buying the wolf." "That's the price." Kara hesitated, then carefully handed him the wooden toy. Her fingers lingered on it for just a second, a goodbye to something precious. Lucien took it gently. The wood was warm. Loved. It smelled like sawdust and the little girl's hope. "Thank you," Kara whispered. Then she turned and ran back toward the storefront, clutching the bills like a lifeline. Lucien stood slowly, his eyes locked on the woman. Sarah. The name was stitched onto the storefront sign in fading thread. She'd finally looked up. Her gaze landed on Kara, then the money in her daughter's hands, then she froze. Their eyes met across the market, and Lucien watched the color drain from her face. Not recognition, not attraction. Fear. Pure, primal fear. She grabbed Kara's shoulders, pulling her close, her body angling protectively between her child and him. Her pulse was hammering, he could hear it even from here, even through the market noise. She felt it too. Not the mate bond, she was human, or at least she believed she was. But something. Some instinct screaming at her that the man watching her was dangerous. Lucien forced himself to turn away. To keep walking. To disappear into the crowd like he'd never been there. But his wolf was howling, and the wooden wolf in his hand felt like a promise he hadn't meant to make. He was 3 blocks away when Gareth found him. "We have a problem," his beta said, falling into step beside him. Gareth was built like a tank, his dark skin marked with ritual scars, his voice always steady. "The council's sent a watcher." "Let them watch." Lucien didn't slow down. "They're asking questions about the human district. About Crescent Street specifically." That made Lucien stop. Gareth's expression was grim. "There's a rumor. About a bloodline. One that was supposed to be extinct." Lucien's hand tightened around the wooden wolf. "What kind of bloodline?" "The kind that could challenge your claim to the throne." Gareth paused. "The kind that hunters would kill for. The kind that—" "Say it." Gareth's voice dropped to barely a whisper. "The kind that could break the curse." "The curse." "The one that bound every alpha to violence. The one that made mercy a weakness and compassion a death sentence. The one that had ruled their kind for 300 years. Lucien's mind was already racing. The woman. The child. The scent that called to his wolf like moonlight. "If the council finds out," Gareth began. "They won't." "Lucien." "I said they won't." His voice was ice and iron. "Double the perimeter. I want eyes on Crescent Street. Discreet. No pack marks. No sense. If a hunter so much as breathes in that direction, I want to know." Gareth studied him for a long moment. "This is about her." "I don't know what you're talking about." "The woman in the market. You found her." It wasn't a question. Lucien didn't answer. Gareth sighed. "You know what happens if you claim a mate. The council will." "I'm not claiming anyone." "Then what are you doing?" Lucien looked down at the wooden wolf in his hand. At the chip in its ear. At the love carved into every worn edge. "I'm buying time," he said quietly. "Now move." Sarah locked the door to her shop with shaking hands. The bills Kara had brought back were folded carefully in her pocket. $500. Enough for food. For rent. For medicine. For the impossible luxury of breathing for more than a week. But she couldn't stop shaking. "Mama?" Kara's voice was small. "Are you mad?" "No, sweetheart." Sarah crouched down, cupping her daughter's face. "You did good. You were brave. The man was nice." "Nice." Sarah had looked into those storm gray eyes and seen nothing nice. She'd seen power, danger, something ancient and wild wearing a human face. She'd felt her daughter's heartbeat sync with hers in fear. "We're not going back to that market," Sarah said firmly. "Okay, but promise me, Kara." Kara's bottom lip trembled, but she nodded. Sarah pulled her close, breathing in the scent of her daughter's shampoo, trying to calm the panic clawing at her chest. She didn't know why that man had terrified her. She didn't know why his gaze had felt like a brand. She didn't know why every instinct screamed that her life had just changed. But as she carried Kara up the narrow stairs to their tiny apartment above the shop, she made herself a promise. Whatever that man was, whatever he wanted, he would never touch her daughter. What Sarah didn't know was that the man who'd bought a wooden wolf wasn't the only one who'd noticed her that night. In the shadows of the market, another pair of eyes had been watching. Eyes that glowed amber in the dark. Eyes that belonged to someone who'd been hunting her for 5 long years. And now, finally, they'd found her. Lucien didn't sleep. He stood in his penthouse office, 40 stories above the city, watching the lights of Crescent Street flicker like dying stars in the distance. The wooden wolf sat on his desk, illuminated by moonlight streaming through floor-to-ceiling windows. Behind him, the door opened without a knock. Only one person in his pack had that privilege. "You're brooding," Denna said, her voice carrying the slight lilt of her Irish ancestry. She was his second, smaller than Gareth, but twice as dangerous, with copper-red hair and eyes that missed nothing. "I can smell the angst from the elevator." "I don't brood. You're literally standing in the dark, staring at a child's toy while ignoring 17 texts from the council." She moved to the bar and poured 2 glasses of whiskey without asking. "That's textbook brooding, Alpha." Lucien accepted the glass, but didn't drink. "Tell me about the bloodline." Denna's expression shifted. The lightness vanished. "You're serious? Do I look like I'm joking?" She set her glass down carefully. "The Ashenfell line. They're a myth, Lucien. A ghost story we tell pups to make them behave. Humor me." Denna sighed and settled into the leather chair across from his desk. 300 years ago, before the curse, there were wolves who could walk in daylight without pain, who could shift without losing their humanity, who could mate with humans and create hybrids strong enough to challenge the old packs. The council couldn't control them. No one could. They were autonomous, peaceful. They didn't follow pack law because they didn't need to. Their alpha line was matriarchal, power passed through the women. Denna's eyes narrowed. So the council did what the council does. They declared them heretics, hunted them, burned their settlements. And they claim every last one died in the purge. But she hesitated. But there are always rumors. Survivors who went underground. Children hidden in human families. Bloodlines that went dormant, waiting. Denna leaned forward. "Why are you asking?" Lucien picked up the wooden wolf, turned it over in his hands. "Because I think I found one." The silence that followed was deafening. "Lucien, she doesn't know what she is. She's human. Or thinks she is. She's raising a child alone. She's starving." His voice dropped. "And she's my mate." Denna's face went pale. "Oh, hell. Yeah. The council can't know. If she's really Ashenfell, they'll kill her. They'll kill the child. Denna stopped. "Wait. You said she's your mate. How's that possible? You're cursed. You killed your father for the throne. The moon goddess doesn't grant bonds to." "I know what I did." Lucien's voice was steel. "I also know what I felt when I looked at her." Denna studied him for a long moment. Then she downed her whiskey in one swallow. "This is going to be a disaster. Probably. What do you need?" And this was why Denna was his second. No judgment. No lectures. Just immediate, unwavering loyalty. Information. "I need to know everything about Sarah Ashton. Where she came from. Why she's alone. What she's running from." He paused. "And I need to know if anyone else has found her. I'll have a report by morning." "And Denna, Lucien's eyes glowed amber in the darkness. No one touches her. No one even looks at her wrong. Spread the word through the pack. Crescent Street is under my personal protection. Denna raised an eyebrow. People are going to ask questions. Let them ask. Anyone who wants answers can bring their concerns to me directly. Terrifying and efficient. I love it. Denna stood. For what it's worth. I hope she's worth it. She is. You don't even know her. Lucien looked at the wooden wolf again. At the care carved into every detail. At the love worn into every edge. I know enough. Sarah woke at dawn to find Kara already awake, sitting at their tiny kitchen table, counting the bills again. Baby, you don't have to. I want to make sure it's real, Kara whispered. Sarah's heart cracked. She pulled her daughter into her lap, pressing a kiss to her hair. It's real. And you know what? We're going to the market today. The good market. We're buying real food. Fruit. Maybe even chicken. Kara's eyes went wide. Really? Really? But as Sarah said it, she felt the weight of the lie. Because the money wouldn't last. It never did. Rent was due in 2 weeks. The sewing machine needed repairs. Kara's shoes had holes. She was just delaying the inevitable. Still, she made herself smile. Made herself believe, just for today, that things could be different. They walked to the market hand in hand, Kara chattering about what she wanted to eat, and Sarah tried to ignore the prickling sensation at the back of her neck. The feeling that someone was watching. She'd felt it ever since last night. Since those storm-gray eyes had locked onto hers across the market. Mama, can we get apples? Anything you want, sweetheart. They spent an hour in the market, and Sarah let herself pretend they were normal. A normal mother and daughter buying groceries without calculating every penny. Without fear. It was the cashier who shattered the illusion. You're Sarah, right? From the alteration shop. Sarah's shoulders tensed. Yes. The woman, middle-aged, kind-faced, smiled. Someone came by this morning. Left this for you. She handed over an envelope. Sarah's hands shook as she took it. Who? Didn't give a name. Just said you'd know. Inside was a business card. Simple. Elegant. Embossed with silver lettering. Hale Industries. Private Investment and Development. And handwritten on the back in sharp, precise script. Your daughter has talent. I'd like to commission more work. Name your price. LH. A phone number was listed below. Sarah stared at it, her heart hammering. This was wrong. This was dangerous. Men like him, powerful, wealthy, predatory, didn't just hand out business cards. They didn't commission wooden toys from starving seamstresses. They wanted something. Mama? Kara tugged her sleeve. What is it? Nothing, baby. Sarah shoved the card into her pocket. Let's go home. But her fingers kept touching the card, feeling the weight of it. The promise. The trap. By the time Denna delivered her report, Lucien had already made 15 calls, repositioned 3 security teams, and personally reviewed footage from every camera within a mile of Crescent Street. You're not going to like this, Denna said, dropping a folder onto his desk. Lucien opened it. The first page was a birth certificate. Sarah Marie Ashton. Born unknown. Adopted, St. Catherine's Home for Children, age 3. She's adopted? Orphaned. No records before age 3. The nuns who ran the home said she was found wandering in the woods during a winter storm. Alone. Unharmed. Wouldn't speak for 6 months. Lucien's wolf stirred. And the child. Kara Ashton. Age 5. Father listed as unknown. Birth was complicated. Denna's voice softened. Hospital records show Sarah nearly died. Hemorrhaging. The doctors said it was a miracle she survived. Where's the father? That's the interesting part. I pulled surveillance from the hospital. Security footage from the night Kara was born. Denna pulled out a photo. This man was there. In the waiting room. He left the moment the baby was delivered. Lucien studied the image. Tall. Dark hair. Eyes that reflected the camera flash like an animal's. Wolf, he growled. Not one of ours. I ran his face through every pack database. Nothing. Then he's rogue. Or he's from a pack that doesn't want to be found. Denna pulled out another photo. This was taken 2 weeks ago. Same man. Outside Sarah's shop. Watching. Lucien's claws extended before he could stop them. The wood of his desk splintered under his grip. He's been following her. For years, based on the pattern. He appears. Watches. Disappears. Never approaches. Never interferes. Denna's voice went cold. Until now. What changed? I don't know. But last night, after you left the market, 3 rogues were spotted in the area. Different pack signatures. All of them circling Crescent Street. Lucien was already moving. Get Gareth. Full detail. I want. Already done. She's got a shadow team. Discreet. She won't know they're there. Lucien forced himself to stop. To breathe. To think like an alpha instead of a mate. If they know about her, then it's already started, Denna finished quietly. The question is, what are you going to do about it? Lucien looked at the photo of Sarah. At the defiance in her eyes. The strength. The survival. I'm going to protect what's mine. Even if she doesn't want your protection? Especially then. That night, Sarah made a decision. She pulled out the business card. Stared at it for an hour. Then she dialed the number. Because desperation makes cowards of us all. And because somewhere deep inside, beneath the fear and the logic and the warning bells, she wanted to hear his voice again. The phone rang twice before he answered. Sarah. Not a question. A statement. Like he'd been waiting. Her breath caught. She hadn't told him her name. The cashier said the man hadn't given his. But he knew. How she cleared her throat. Started again. The business card. You said you wanted to commission work. A pause. Then yes. His voice was dark velvet. Controlled. The kind of voice that made decisions that couldn't be unmade. I don't understand. They're just toys. Kara makes them from. They're beautiful. Skilled. Unique. Another pause. And your daughter shouldn't have to sell them to feed you. Sarah's face flushed with shame and anger. That's none of your. I'm not judging. I'm offering a solution. I don't need charity. I'm not offering charity. I'm offering business. I have an event in 3 weeks. A gala. I need centerpieces. 200 pieces. Wooden sculptures. Wolves. Various sizes. Can you do it? Sarah's mind raced. 200 pieces. 3 weeks. Even with Kara helping, even working every spare hour. What's the pay? $50,000. The phone nearly slipped from her hand. That's insane. That's not market rate. That's my offer. Half now, half on delivery. Non-negotiable. Why? Her voice cracked. Why would you pay that much? You don't know me. You don't know my work. This doesn't make sense. Meet me tomorrow. Noon. The address is on the back of the card. See the space. See the event details. Then decide. I can't just. Can you afford not to? The question hit like a physical blow. Because he was right. $50,000 was rent for a year. Food. Medicine. Security. It was the difference between drowning and breathing. It was also too good to be true. One meeting, Lucien continued, his voice gentling slightly. Public place. Bring Kara if it makes you feel safer. No obligation. And if I say no after the meeting, then you walk away. No questions. No consequences. Sarah closed her eyes. Every instinct screamed this was wrong. But every practical bone in her body begged her to say yes. Tomorrow. Noon. I'll be there. Good. Something in his voice shifted. Warmed. Sarah? Yes. Thank you. He hung up before she could ask what he was thanking her for. The address led to a building Sarah had walked past 100 times without truly seeing. Hale Tower. Glass and steel and money. The kind of place where people like her didn't exist except to clean the floors. She stood across the street, holding Kara's hand, second-guessing everything. "Mama, it's pretty," Kara whispered, staring up at the building. "Too pretty for us, baby." But even as she said it, she was walking forward, through the revolving doors, into a lobby that smelled like leather and expensive cologne. The receptionist looked up, her smile professional but cold. "Can I help you? I have an appointment with..." Sarah's voice faltered. She realized she didn't even know his full name. "LH." The woman's expression changed instantly. "Ms. Ashton, Mr. Hale is expecting you. 40th floor. The elevator on the right." Sarah blinked. "How did you?" "He's very thorough." The receptionist's smile was almost pitying. The elevator ride took 40 seconds and felt like 40 years. Kara pressed her face to the glass, watching the city shrink below them, while Sarah tried to control her breathing. When the doors opened, he was waiting. Lucian Hale stood in a reception area that was all dark wood and floor-to-ceiling windows. He wore a charcoal suit that probably cost more than her car. His hair was perfectly styled. His presence filled the space like smoke. But it was his eyes that stopped her. Storm gray. Intense. Fixed on her like she was the only thing in the world worth looking at. "Sarah." He moved forward, extending his hand. "Thank you for coming." She shook it. His hand was warm, strong. The touch sent electricity racing up her arm. She pulled back quickly. "This is Kara." She pulled her daughter close. "You said I could bring her." Lucian's gaze shifted to Kara, and something in his expression softened. "Hello, Kara. That was a very fine wolf you sold me." Kara stared at him with wide eyes. Then, quietly, "Did you like it?" "I did. Very much." He crouched down to her level, just like he had in the market. "Would you like to see my office? I have a terrarium with a turtle named Gareth. He's very old and very grumpy." Despite herself, Kara giggled. Sarah's defenses cracked slightly. This man, this dangerous, powerful, wrong man, was being gentle with her daughter. "Come." Lucian stood, gesturing toward the hallway. "Let me show you what I have in mind." They walked through corridors lined with art that probably cost more than Sarah would make in her lifetime. Past conference rooms filled with serious-looking people. Past offices where phone calls happened in languages she didn't recognize. And finally, to a corner office that took her breath away. The city sprawled below them. 3 walls of glass. A view that made her feel like she was flying. "This is where the gala will be," Lucian said, moving to a table covered in design sketches. A charity event. 500 guests. All of them hungry for something beautiful. Sarah forced herself to look at the sketches instead of the view. They showed elegant tables. Lighting. And in the center of each table. "Wolves," she whispered. "Wolves. Like the one Kara made. But varied. Some howling. Some running. Some at rest. I want them to tell a story." "Why wolves?" His eyes met hers. "Because they're survivors. Because they're loyal. Because they understand what it means to protect the pack." Something in his voice made her shiver. "And you need 200 of these. In 3 weeks. I have a workshop space you can use. Here in the building. Tools. Materials. Whatever you need. You and Kara can work here during the day. Safe. Warm." He paused. "Federal." Sarah's throat tightened. "This is too much. It's business. It's charity. It's survival." His voice was firm but not unkind. "For both of us. I need these pieces. You need the money. That's not charity. That's mutual benefit." "Why me?" "Because your work is exceptional. You've seen one toy. I've seen enough." He moved closer. Not threatening, but intense. "Sarah, I'm not going to lie to you. I could hire any artist in the city. But I saw Kara in that market. I saw you. I saw what you're building from nothing. And I decided I'd rather give this opportunity to someone who will actually use it than someone who will just add it to their portfolio." It was a good answer. Almost believable. But Sarah had learned to read men. to see past the words to the want beneath. And what she saw in Lucien Hale's eyes wasn't just business interest. It was hunger. I need to think about it, she said quietly. Of course. He pulled a contract from the table. Take this. Read it. There's a lawyer's number on the back. Call them. Verify everything. I'm not asking you to trust me. I'm asking you to trust yourself. Sarah took the contract with shaking hands. And Sarah, Lucien's voice dropped. Whatever you're running from, whatever you're afraid of, it can't touch you here. I give you my word. Her eyes snapped to his. How do you? Because I recognize fear when I see it. His expression was unreadable. And I recognize strength. You have both. That's rare. Before she could respond, Kara tugged on her hand. Mama, can I see the turtle? Lucien smiled, a real smile that transformed his face. Of course. He's in the next room. Come on. And as Sarah watched this powerful, dangerous man show her daughter his pet turtle, speaking to Kara with genuine patience and warmth, she felt her carefully constructed walls begin to crack. This was a mistake. She knew it in her bones. But as she looked at Kara's delighted face, at the contract in her hands, at the promise of 3 meals a day and a warm place to work, she couldn't afford to walk away. They left an hour later, Sarah still holding the unsigned contract, Kara chattering about the turtle and the nice man. They didn't see the figure watching from across the street. Dark hair. Animal eyes. The same man from the hospital photos. He pulled out his phone. She made contact, he said quietly. The Alpha found her. A pause. Then a voice on the other end, cold and commanding. Then we accelerate the timeline. Bring me the child. Kill anyone who tries to stop you. And the woman? She's already dead. She just doesn't know it yet. The man hung up, melted into the shadows. And blocks away, in his office, Lucien felt his wolf surge with sudden, violent alarm. Threat. Danger. Mine. He was moving before he consciously decided, grabbing his phone, dialing Gareth. Where is she? 2 blocks south. Walking home. Shadow team is. Pull them in. Now. Tight perimeter. Something's wrong. Lucien. Now, Gareth. Because his wolf knew. The hunt had begun. Sarah felt it before she saw it. The prickling at her neck. The way the crowd seemed to thin around her. The wrongness in the air. She pulled Kara closer. Baby, we're going to walk a little faster, okay? Why? Just a game. Let's see how fast we can get home. But even as they walked, she could feel eyes on them. Not the casual glances of strangers. Something focused. Predatory. She turned a corner, heading toward the bus stop. And saw him. The man from her nightmares. The one she'd spent 5 years running from. The one whose face she'd forced herself to forget, but whose presence she'd always recognize. Kara's father. He stood at the end of the block, perfectly still, his eyes locked on them. Sarah's blood turned to ice. Run, she whispered to Kara. Mama? Run. She grabbed her daughter's hand and bolted. Behind her, she heard footsteps. Fast. Getting closer. She pulled Kara into an alley, her heart hammering, her lungs burning. A hand caught her arm. She screamed. But the voice that answered wasn't the one she expected. It's me. You're safe. Lucien. He'd appeared from nowhere, placing himself between her and the mouth of the alley. His body was tense. His eyes were glowing, actually glowing amber in the shadows. Stay behind me, he ordered. What? Stay behind me. And then Sarah watched something impossible. The man who'd been chasing her stepped into the alley. But he wasn't alone. 3 others materialized behind him. All tall. All moving with that same inhuman grace. Alpha Hale, the first man said. His voice was wrong. Too many harmonics. Like multiple people speaking at once. We have no quarrel with you. Give us the woman and child. Walk away. No. This doesn't concern your pack. Everything in this city concerns my pack. Lucien's voice dropped to a growl that vibrated in Sarah's chest. And they're under my protection. For how long? A day? A week? The man smiled, showing teeth too sharp to be human. We can wait, Alpha. We've been waiting 5 years. What's a little longer? You'll wait forever. Because if you touch them, Lucien took a step forward, and Sarah felt the power roll off him like a physical force. I'll burn your pack to the ground and scatter the ashes where even the moon won't find them. The man's smile faded. You'd start a war over a human? Try me. The standoff lasted 3 heartbeats. Then the man raised his hand, and his companions melted back into the shadows. This isn't over, he said quietly. She belongs to us. The child belongs to us. Your protection is temporary, Alpha. And when it ends, it won't. The man looked past Lucien to Sarah. His eyes were sad, apologetic, hungry. I'm sorry, Sarah, but you know how this has to end. Then he was gone. Sarah's legs gave out. Lucien caught her before she hit the ground, his arms impossibly strong, his body radiating heat. Mama! Kara crashed into her, sobbing. It's okay, baby. It's okay. But Sarah's voice was shaking. Her whole body was shaking. We need to move, Lucien said. His voice was calm, but she could feel the tension in him. The barely controlled violence. My car is 2 blocks away. Can you walk? What were those things? I'll explain. But not here. They weren't human. No, they weren't. He helped her to her feet, keeping one arm around her for support. And neither am I. Sarah stared at him. At his glowing eyes. At the power still crackling in the air around him. What are you? Lucien's jaw tightened. Then, quietly, someone who's going to keep you alive. The car was bulletproof. Sarah could tell by the weight of the doors, the thickness of the glass. Lucien drove with one hand, the other on his phone, barking orders in a language that sounded like English but felt different. Kara had fallen asleep in the back seat, exhausted from terror. Sarah stared out the window, trying to process what she'd seen. Glowing eyes. Impossible speed. The way Lucien had moved, like gravity was optional. Where are we going? She finally asked. Somewhere safe. That's not an answer. It's the only one I have right now. He glanced at her. I'm sorry. I knew they were circling. I didn't think they'd move this fast. You knew. Her voice rose. You knew something was hunting us and you didn't. I've had people watching you since the night we met. A full security detail. Discreet. I thought I had more time to. He cut himself off. I miscalculated. People? Sarah laughed bitterly. Those things weren't people. And neither are you. Lucien's hands tightened on the steering wheel. No, I'm not. Then what are you? What are they? What do they want? He was quiet for a long moment. Then, do you believe in monsters, Sarah? I didn't. Until about 20 minutes ago. I'm a werewolf. An alpha. I lead a pack of about 300 wolves in this city. His voice was matter-of-fact, like he was discussing the weather. The men who were hunting you? Also werewolves. Rogues. Not part of any official pack. Sarah waited for the punchline. For the reveal that this was a joke, a prank, a breakdown. But Lucien just kept driving. You're insane, she whispered. I can prove it. When we stop. When it's safe. I'll show you. And what do they want with me? With Kara. That's complicated. Uncomplicated. Lucien pulled the car into an underground garage. Concrete. Security cameras. Armed guards who nodded at him as they passed. He parked in a space marked private and turned to face her. You're not human, Sarah. Not entirely. You're Ashenfell. I'm what? An ancient bloodline. Wolves who could walk in daylight. Who could mate with humans. Who were hunted to extinction 300 years ago. Or so everyone thought. Sarah shook her head. No. No, I'm adopted. I was found in the woods. I'm just found in the woods during winter. Unharmed. Age 3. With no memory of your past. Lucien's eyes were gentle but firm. You don't get cold easily. You heal fast. You can smell emotions. Tell me I'm wrong. Sarah opened her mouth to argue, then closed it. Because he wasn't wrong. She'd always healed quickly. Always been sensitive to temperature changes. Always known when people were lying, scared, angry, even when they hid it well. She'd thought she was just observant. Kara, she whispered, has your gifts. And something more. Something that makes her valuable. He paused. She's a hybrid. Half Ashenfell. Half what? Lucien's expression darkened. Half rogue pack. The man who fathered her? He's not from any recognized pack. He's from a group that's been hunting your bloodline for generations. Why? Because they believe your blood can break a curse. One that binds all werewolves to violence. To darkness. They think if they can, he stopped. They think they can use Kara to break it. But the ritual requires her death. The world tilted. Sarah couldn't breathe. Couldn't think. Couldn't. He'll never touch her. Her voice was steel. I'll kill him first. You won't have to. Lucien's hand covered hers. The touch was warm. Grounding. Because I'm not going to let him get close enough to try. Why? Tears burned her eyes. Why do you care? You don't know us. We're nothing to you. You're not nothing. His voice was rough. Raw. You're mine. Sarah blinked. Excuse me. You're my mate. The one the moon goddess chose for me. I knew the moment I saw you. The moment I scented you. He pulled his hand back, giving her space. I know you don't feel it. You're mostly human. The bond doesn't work the same for you. But I do. And it means I'll protect you with everything I have. Sarah stared at him. This was insane. All of it. Werewolves. Bloodlines. Mates. But as she looked into his storm-gray eyes, she saw the truth there. He believed it. And more terrifying. A part of her believed it too. I need proof, she whispered. Show me. Prove you're not lying. Lucien nodded slowly. All right. But not here. Upstairs. Where Kara won't see until you're ready to explain. He got out of the car. Opened her door. Offered his hand. Sarah looked at that hand, strong, steady, promising safety she'd never had. Then she took it. Because desperation makes believers of us all. And because deep down, beneath the fear and disbelief, she wanted it to be true. She wanted someone to finally fight for her. Even if he was a monster. In the shadows of the parking garage, the man with dark hair watched them disappear into the elevator. His phone rang. Did you tag her? The voice asked. Yes. She's marked. We'll know everywhere she goes. Good. Now we wait. Let the Alpha think he's won. Let him get comfortable. And then we take what's ours. One way or another. The line went dead. And in the elevator rising 40 floors, Sarah felt a sudden, sharp pain in her shoulder. Where hours ago, in the chaos of the chase, someone had brushed against her. Where something small and cold now rested under her skin. Waiting. Lucien's penthouse was a fortress disguised as luxury. Sarah carried sleeping Kara to the guest room Lucien indicated, all soft grays and plush bedding, and tucked her daughter in with trembling hands. She kissed Kara's forehead, breathing in her scent, memorizing the warmth of her. They want to kill her. The thought made her stomach revolt. When she emerged, Lucien was standing by the windows, his back to her. The city glittered below like scattered diamonds. You wanted proof, he said quietly. Yes. He turned. His eyes were already glowing amber. Don't scream. You'll wake Kara. I won't. Then his body changed. It wasn't like the movies. No painful contortion. No screaming transformation. One moment he was a man. The next, bones shifted beneath skin, muscles reorganized, and where Lucien had stood. A massive black wolf now crouched. 7 feet at the shoulder. Eyes like molten gold. For that seemed to absorb the light. Sarah's back hit the wall. The wolf took 1 step toward her. Then lowered itself to the ground. Submissive. Non-threatening. A whine escaped its throat. almost apologetic. Sarah's scientific mind tried to rationalize. Hologram. Trick. Hallucination. But she could smell him. Wild earth and pine and Lucian. Could hear his heartbeat, impossibly slow and steady. "Oh God," she whispered. The wolf shifted back, bones cracking softly, for receding. And Lucian stood before her again, perfectly human, slightly breathless. "You believe me now?" Sarah slid down the wall, her legs giving out. "This is real. This is all real." "Yes." He moved slowly, sitting across from her, giving her space. "And there's more you need to know." "More? What more could there possibly be?" Lucian's expression was grave. "Your daughter's father. The man hunting you. His name is Draven. He's from a rogue pack called the Blood Moon Exiles. They were cast out 50 years ago for practicing forbidden magic." "What kind of magic?" "The kind that requires sacrifice. Blood rituals. They believe they can break the curse that binds our kind to darkness. But the ritual needs the blood of an Ashenfell child," Sarah finished numbly. "Yes. Specifically, one who carries both bloodlines. Ashenfell and Rogue." His voice softened. "Kara is the only one in 300 years." Sarah's head was spinning. "But I didn't know. When I met Draven, I thought he was just a man. We were together for 3 months. He was kind, gentle. Then I got pregnant and he changed. Became possessive. Dangerous. I ran. He let you." Her head snapped up. "What?" "He let you run, Sarah. Because he needed Kara to be born. Needed her to reach a certain age." Lucian's jaw tightened. 5 years old. When the bloodline fully manifests. Horror crawled up her spine. He's been waiting. All this time. He's been waiting. And now he's making his move. Lucian leaned forward. "But here's what he doesn't know. What no one knows except my second." "What?" "You're not just Ashenfell. You're the last direct descendant of the matriarchal line. The bloodline doesn't just run through you, it ends with you. If Kara dies, the power dies with her," Sarah breathed. "Exactly. But if she lives, if she grows, if she mates and has children of her own." Lucian's eyes gleamed. She could rebuild the Ashenfell line. Could challenge the old packs. Could change everything. "That's why you're helping us." Bitterness crept into Sarah's voice. "Not because of some mystical mate bond. Because we're politically valuable." "No." The word was sharp. Final. "The mate bond is real, Sarah. What I feel for you is real. But yes, protecting Kara also protects the future. I won't lie about that. She's important. But you," his voice roughened. "You're everything." Sarah wanted to believe him. Wanted to trust the intensity in his eyes. But she'd been burned before. "I need air," she whispered, standing abruptly. Lucian rose with her. "The balcony is through. Alone. Please." He hesitated, then nodded. "I'll be here when you're ready." The balcony was 40 stories of vertigo and wind. Sarah gripped the railing, her mind racing. Werewolves. Ancient bloodlines. A daughter marked for death. A man claiming she was his mate. Her shoulder throbbed. She pressed her hand to it, wincing. Must have pulled something in the chase. Behind her, the door opened. "I said I needed," she turned. It wasn't Lucian. A woman stood there. Copper-red hair. Sharp green eyes. Dangerous smile. "Easy," the woman said, raising her hands. "I'm Denna. Lucian's second. I'm on your side." "How did you get in here?" "I have keys. Also, I wanted to meet the woman who made our alpha lose his mind." Denna moved to the railing beside her. "For what it's worth, he's telling the truth. About all of it. You're also a werewolf?" "Yep. Born and raised in pack life. It's not as dramatic as it seems. Mostly paperwork and territory disputes." She studied Sarah. "You're handling this well." "I'm having a breakdown internally." "Fair." Denna was quiet for a moment. "He's a good man, you know. Alpha. Whatever you want to call him. He's brutal when he needs to be. But he's never been cruel. Never killed without cause. And I've never seen him look at anyone the way he looks at you. He doesn't know me. He knows enough. Denna's voice softened. And for what it's worth, you could do worse than a mate who'd burn the world for you. Sarah's throat tightened. I don't want the world to burn. I just want my daughter safe. Then we're on the same page. Denna pushed off the railing. Get some sleep. Tomorrow, things get complicated. More complicated than tonight? Oh, honey. Tonight was just the opening act. Sarah couldn't sleep. She lay in the guest bed beside Kara, watching her daughter's chest rise and fall, and felt the weight of everything crushing her. At 2 a.m., she gave up and padded into the kitchen. Lucien was already there, shirtless, drinking coffee and reading something on a tablet. He looked up. Can't sleep either? Too much to process. She poured herself water. Do you ever sleep? Not much. Alphas don't need as much rest. He set the tablet down. Come here. Why? Because you're exhausted and terrified and trying to hold it together for Kara. And you don't have to. Not right now. Sarah's defenses crumbled. She moved to him, and he pulled her into his arms. Just held her. His warmth seeped into her bones. His heartbeat steadied hers. I can't lose her, she whispered against his chest. You won't. How can you promise that? Because I've never lost a fight that mattered. He pulled back slightly, tilting her chin up. And you, Sarah Ashton, matter more than anything else in this world. His eyes searched hers. And for the first time since the market, Sarah let herself look back. Really look. At the man who'd appeared from nowhere. Who'd stood between her and monsters. Who held her like she was precious. I don't understand this, she breathed. This bond. This feeling. You don't have to understand it. Just don't fight it. His thumb brushed her cheek. Let me protect you. Let me. His words cut off. His body went rigid. Lucien? Something's wrong. He was already moving, pulling his phone. Gareth, perimeter check. Now. Sarah's blood went cold. What is it? I don't know. But my wolf is. He stopped. His eyes fixed on her shoulder. What's that? What? He moved closer, his hand hovering over her shoulder. There's a scent. Foreign. Like metal, and his face went white. No. What? What is it? Tracker. You've been tagged. His voice was ice. They know exactly where you are. The words hadn't fully registered when the windows exploded inward. Glass rained down. Dark shapes poured through the opening. Wolves. 6 of them. Massive and snarling. Lucien shoved Sarah behind him, his body already shifting. But one of the wolves was faster. It leaped over Lucien, heading straight for the hallway. Heading for Kara's room. Sarah screamed. Lucien caught the wolf midair, his claws extended, his roar shaking the penthouse. But in the chaos, Sarah saw him. Draven. Human-formed. Slipping past the fighting. Moving toward Kara. No one else had noticed. Sarah didn't think. She grabbed a kitchen knife and ran. Sarah crashed through Kara's door just as Draven reached the bed. Don't touch her. She raised the knife with shaking hands. Draven turned slowly. In the dim light, he looked almost sad. Sarah. It doesn't have to be like this. Get away from my daughter. She's my daughter too. You lost that right when you tried to kill her. Behind them, the sounds of fighting intensified. Snarls. Breaking furniture. Lucien's roar of rage. Draven took a step closer. I never wanted to hurt her. I love her. But this is bigger than love. This is about saving our entire species. By murdering a child? By using her gift to break a curse that's enslaved us for 300 years. His voice cracked. Do you know what it's like, Sarah? To feel the darkness crawling inside you? To know that one day you'll lose yourself to the beast? Kara's blood can end that. Can free us all. She's 5 years old. And she'll die anyway. Eventually. We all do. But her death can have meaning. Can save thousands. No. Sarah's voice was steel. You don't get to decide that her life matters less because it could save others. She's not a sacrifice. She's a child. Draven's expression hardened. Then you've chosen. He moved with inhuman speed, reaching for Kara. Sarah drove the knife into his shoulder. Draven howled, stumbling back. Blood bloomed across his shirt. But it only slowed him. He yanked the knife out, his eyes bleeding to amber. You shouldn't have done that. His body began to shift. Sarah threw herself over Kara's sleeping form, shielding her daughter with her own body. This is it, she thought. This is how I die. But the killing blow never came. Instead, a massive black wolf slammed into Draven, sending him crashing through the wall into the hallway. Lucien. He'd torn through 6 wolves to get here. And now he was going to tear through one more. The fight was brutal. Sarah had never seen violence like this. Claws tearing flesh. Jaws clamping on throats. 2 apex predators trying to kill each other with savage efficiency. They crashed through rooms. Destroyed furniture. Left blood trails on expensive carpet. And through it all, Kara slept. How? Sarah thought frantically. How is she still asleep? Then she saw it. The faint shimmer in the air around Kara's bed. Like heat waves. Like protection. Magic. Someone had spelled her daughter to sleep through the attack. But who? Sarah. Denna burst into the room, her face splattered with blood. We need to go. Now. More are coming. I'm not leaving Lucien. He can handle himself. You can't. And if they get Kara. An explosion rocked the building. Denna cursed. They've breached the lower floors. Sarah, we have seconds. Sarah scooped Kara into her arms. Her daughter was dead weight, spelled into unnatural sleep. They ran. Through the destroyed penthouse. Past bodies, she didn't look to see if they were human or wolf. Into a hidden elevator Denna revealed with a palm scan. Where are we going? Safe house. Off the grid. Lucien's orders. The elevator plummeted. He'll meet us there when he's done. And if he doesn't? Denna's expression was grim. Then I become Alpha. And I finish what he started. The safe house was a cabin 2 hours outside the city. Rustic. Remote. Surrounded by woods that went on forever. Denna carried Kara inside while Sarah secured the perimeter, or tried to. She had no idea what she was doing. The spell will wear off in an hour, Denna said, laying Kara on a bed. When she wakes, she'll have questions. What do I tell her? The truth. She's old enough. And she needs to know what she's fighting for. Denna moved to the windows, checking sight lines. There are weapons in the basement. Food for 2 weeks. Medical supplies. If something happens to me, nothing's going to happen to you. If something happens to me, Denna repeated firmly, there's a panic button under the kitchen sink. Press it. It alerts every pack within 500 miles. Someone will come. Sarah's hands were shaking. This is insane. This is. Her phone buzzed. Unknown number. She answered with dread. Sarah. Lucien's voice was rough. Pained. Are you safe? Yes. We're at the safe house. Are you? I'm alive. Draven escaped. He's wounded, but a pause. Heavy breathing. He took something. From my office. A list. What kind of list? Every pack-affiliated business in the city. Every wolf under my protection. Every human who knows our secret. His voice was hollow. He's going to expose us. All of us. Unless we give him Kara. The world stopped. How long? 48 hours. Then he goes to the media. The government. He burns it all down. Lucien's voice cracked. Sarah, I'm sorry. I thought I could protect you. I thought. Don't. Tears burned her eyes. Don't apologize for trying. I need to ask you something. And I need you to be honest. What? If it came down to it. If the only way to save Kara was to let my pack burn. To expose everything we are. To condemn thousands of wolves to persecution and death. He paused. Would you do it? Sarah closed her eyes. She thought of Kara's laugh. Her small hands. Her tired eyes holding that wooden wolf. Yes, she whispered. I'm sorry. But yes. Silence. Then, quietly, good. Good. Because that's exactly what I wanted to hear. It means you're a mother first. Which means you'll do what needs to be done. I don't understand. I'm coming to you. Stay put. Trust no one until I get there. Not even. The line went dead. Sarah stared at the phone. Behind her, Dennis spoke softly. He hung up. Yes. He said he's coming. That we should trust no one. Sarah turned. Denna was holding a gun. Pointed at her. I'm sorry, Denna said. Her eyes were wet. But he's wrong. This isn't about love or bonds or individual lives. This is about survival. And sometimes survival requires sacrifice. No. Sarah backed toward Kara's room. No, you can't. Draven offered a deal. Kara's life for the pack's safety. It's the logical choice. You said you'd never seen him look at anyone the way he looks at me. I lied. Denna's voice broke. Or maybe I didn't. Maybe he does love you. But love doesn't feed 300 wolves. Love doesn't keep us hidden. Love doesn't. A growl cut her off. Low. Dangerous. Coming from Kara's room. Both women turned. Kara stood in the doorway. But her eyes were glowing. Bright amber. Ancient. And when she spoke, her voice carried harmonics that didn't belong to a 5-year-old child. You will not touch my mother. Power exploded outward. Denna flew backward, hitting the wall hard enough to crack wood. The cabin lights flickered. Windows rattled. And Sarah watched in horror and awe as her daughter, her small, precious, human daughter, became something else entirely. Kara's body didn't shift like Lucien's had. Instead, she seemed to expand. Light radiated from her skin, not amber like wolf eyes, but silver. Pure moonlight given form. Her hair lifted in an invisible wind. Her small frame suddenly felt massive, ancient, impossibly powerful. When she looked at Sarah, her eyes held centuries. Mama, she said in that multi-layered voice. I'm sorry. I didn't want you to see this yet. Kara? Sarah's voice cracked. Baby, what's happening to you? I'm waking up. The light dimmed slightly, and Kara's voice returned to something closer to her own. The protection spell broke when I felt you in danger. And when I woke. She looked at her small hands, now glowing faintly. I remembered. Remembered what? Denna groaned from where she'd hit the wall, but didn't move. Smart woman. Kara stepped toward Sarah, her bare feet leaving silver footprints that faded slowly. I'm not just half Ashenfell, Mama. I'm the reincarnation of the last Ashenfell queen. That's why they want me. Not just for my blood, for what I know. For what I can do. Sarah's legs gave out. She sank to the floor. This was too much. All of it. Werewolves and bloodlines and now reincarnation. Kara knelt beside her, and suddenly she was just a little girl again. Small hands cupping her mother's face. Worried eyes searching. I'm still me, Mama. I'm still your Kara. I still love strawberries and hate broccoli and want to hear bedtime stories. But I'm also more. And I can help us. I can keep us safe. How? Sarah whispered. The curse everyone wants to break? I know how to do it. The real way. Not through sacrifice, through unity. Through bringing the packs together under Ashenfell rule again. Kara's voice was steady. Certain. But I can't do it alone. I need an alpha strong enough to stand beside me. To bridge the old world and the new. Understanding crashed over Sarah. Lucien. Yes. He's your mate for a reason, Mama. The moon goddess doesn't make mistakes. You two together, protecting me until I'm old enough to lead. Kara smiled. We could change everything. Or we could die trying. Maybe. But isn't trying better than running forever? Sarah looked at her daughter, her small, fierce, ancient daughter, and felt something shift inside her. Fear was still there. Terror for Kara's safety would never leave. But beneath it, something else was rising. Hope. The door burst open. Lucien stood there, bloody and wild-eyed. When he saw them, Sarah on the floor, Kara glowing softly, Denna unconscious against the wall. He nearly shifted on the spot. What happened? Are you hurt? Did Denna? I handled it, Kara said calmly. Lucien's eyes snapped to her. Really looked at her. And then he dropped to one knee, his head bowed. My queen, he breathed. Kara giggled, actually giggled, like the 5-year-old she still was. You don't have to do that. Not yet. I'm not queen of anything right now. You remember. It wasn't a question. I remember. Lucien raised his head. Then you know what's coming. What they'll do to get to you. I know. Kara moved to stand beside Sarah, her small hand finding her mother's. But I also know how to win. I just need you to trust me. Both of you. Always, Lucien said immediately. Sarah hesitated. Then, what do you need us to do? Kara's smile was old and young at once. Stop running. Stop hiding. And call a council meeting. The council will never listen to a human and a 5-year-old, Denna croaked from the floor. She was sitting up now, rubbing her head. No offense, tiny terrifying child, but you just proved my point. You're too powerful. They'll see you as a threat. Good. Kara's eyes flashed silver. Let them see the threat. Let them understand that the old ways are ending. That Ashenfell has returned. She looked at Lucien. You wanted to break the curse your whole life. To free your people from the darkness. Here's your chance. Stand with me. Publicly. Let the pack see that their alpha bows to Ashenfell. They'll call it weakness, Lucien said quietly. Or they'll call it wisdom. Kara's voice was gentle. You're strong enough to make them follow. I know you are. I've always known. Sarah's mind was reeling. Wait. You knew about him? Before the market. I knew someone was coming for us. I didn't know it would be him. Kara squeezed her hand. But when I saw him, when I felt his wolf, I knew he was the one. The one who could protect us long enough for me to grow into my power. You're 5 years old, Sarah said helplessly. You should be worried about dolls and playgrounds, not political coups and ancient bloodlines. I know. And I'm sorry. Genuine sorrow filled Kara's young face. But I didn't choose this. None of us did. We just have to make the best of what we've been given. Lucien stood slowly. If we do this, if we call a council meeting and reveal what you are, there's no going back. Every pack will have an opinion. Some will support us. Others will try to kill you before you can consolidate power. And Draven? Sarah asked. Will make his move during the meeting. I guarantee it. He's not going to let us change the game without a fight. Lucien's expression was grim. It's going to be a bloodbath. Then we make sure we're the ones left standing. Kara's voice was steel wrapped in silk. Denna, are you with us? Denna stared at the tiny glowing girl who'd casually thrown her across the room. Then she started laughing. Oh, what the hell? I'm in. If I'm going to die, might as well be for something that matters. She looked at Lucien. She's got my vote, Alpha. For what it's worth. It's worth everything. Lucien turned to Sarah. And you? This isn't your world. You didn't ask for any of this. If you want to walk away, if you want me to hide you somewhere Draven will never find you, I'll make it happen. Sarah looked at him. Really looked. At the man who'd bought a wooden wolf from a starving child. Who'd stood between her and monsters. Who'd literally fought through walls to protect them. Who loved her without knowing her. Who'd chosen her without hesitation. I'm not walking away. She stood, pulling Kara up with her. This is my daughter. My life. My fight. She met Lucien's storm gray eyes. And apparently, you're my mate. So we do this together. Or not at all. Something fierce and tender flooded Lucien's expression. He crossed to her in 3 steps and kissed her. Not gently. Not carefully. But with the hunger of a man who'd been waiting lifetimes for this moment. Sarah melted into it. Let herself feel the bond she'd been fighting. The rightness of his hands on her waist, his lips on hers, his wolf singing to whatever ancient part of her recognized home. When they broke apart, both breathing hard, Kara was grinning. Finally, the 5-year-old queen said, Took you long enough. Denna snorted. I like this kid. Lucien kept one arm around Sarah, anchoring her. All right. We call the meeting. We make our stand. But we do it smart. Gareth is already rallying the loyal packs. The ones who'll follow me without question. That gives us a foundation. And the ones who won't? Sarah asked. We convince them. Or we destroy them. Lucien's voice was ice. There's no middle ground now. Not after tonight. When? Kara asked. Tomorrow night. Full moon. Tradition demands it for matters of succession. Lucien looked down at the small girl who held the fate of their species in her hands. Are you ready? Kara's silver eyes glowed steady and sure. I've been ready for 300 years. Deep in the city, in a warehouse that stank of blood and desperation, Draven clutched his wounded shoulder and smiled. The bait had worked perfectly. They thought they'd won. Thought they'd found the solution. But they'd missed the obvious. That the spell put on Kara wasn't just protection. It was a leash. And tomorrow night, during the council meeting, when all the powerful wolves were gathered in one place, he'd pull that leash and watch the little queen destroy everyone she loved. The council chamber was older than the city itself. Built into bedrock beneath an abandoned cathedral, the circular stone room had witnessed 3 centuries of wolf politics. Blood stained the floors, some from ritual, some from murder. Torches lined the walls, casting shadows that danced like specters. Sarah stood at the threshold, Kara's hand tight in hers, and felt the weight of history pressing down. How many? She whispered to Lucien. 53 alphas. Another 100 seconds and enforcers. His jaw was tight. More than I expected. Words spread fast. Is that good or bad? Depends on how many want to kill us. Denna appeared at Lucien's shoulder. Gareth's positioned our people. 20 loyal wolves, armed and ready. If this goes south. It won't, Kara said quietly. Her eyes were already glowing silver. Trust me. They descended the stone steps. Every eye turned to them. Sarah felt the weight of those stares, predatory, curious, hostile. She was the only human in a room full of apex predators, and her racing heart betrayed her fear. Lucien's hand found the small of her back. Steadying. Claiming. Mine, his touch said. Touch her and die. The assembled alphas parted as they walked to the center. There, on a raised dais, sat the Council of Elders, 7 ancient wolves who'd ruled for generations. Their leader, a woman called Morvenna with white hair and ice-blue eyes, watched their approach with an expression of calculated neutrality. Alpha hail, Morvenna's voice echoed through the chamber. You've called an emergency session. Speak your purpose. Lucien stepped forward, his presence commanding. I bring before this council a matter of succession. Of ancient law. Of the return of a bloodline we thought extinct. Murmurs rippled through the crowd. The Ashenfell line is dead, another elder spoke, a grizzled man named Torvin. Destroyed in the purge. If you've brought us here for ghost stories. No ghost. Lucien gestured to Kara. I present Kara Ashton. Daughter of Sarah Ashton, last living descendant of the Ashenfell matriarchal line. And more, the reincarnation of Queen Lina, who ruled before the curse. The silence that followed was deafening. Then chaos erupted. Alphas surged forward, shouting. Some in anger. Some in disbelief. Some in barely contained violence. Impossible. The child is human. This is heresy. Morvenna raised her hand. The room fell silent, not from respect, but from primal fear. The elder's power rolled out like a wave. Prove it, she said simply. Kara stepped forward. Sarah's every instinct screamed to pull her back, to shield her. But Lucien's hand on her arm stopped her. She knows what she's doing, he murmured. Kara stood in the center of the chamber, tiny beneath the vaulted ceiling. She looked like a child playing dress-up in her mother's clothes, vulnerable, breakable. Then she spoke. Ashenfell Eni Mara. Lunaris Selvith. Somnium Aeterna. The ancient words resonated. Power exploded outward, not violently, but undeniably. Silver light poured from Kara's skin, flooding the chamber. Every wolf present felt it in their bones. A calling, a remembering. And in that light, Kara transformed. Not into a wolf, into something else. Her small form remained, but around it, a spectral image appeared, a woman in her prime, regal and fierce, with silver hair and eyes that held the moon. Queen Lina, the last Ashenfell ruler. The vision spoke with Kara's voice, but layered with power. I am Lina Ashenfell, born of moonlight and blood. Witness my return. Witness the end of the old order. Alphas dropped to their knees. Not all, but enough. The vision faded. Kara stood there again, just a 5-year-old girl, breathing hard. Sarah ran to her, catching her as she swayed. I'm okay, Mama, Kara whispered. But we don't have much time. He's here. Who? The doors exploded inward. Draven stood silhouetted in the entrance, flanked by 24 rogues. His wounded shoulder was wrapped, but his eyes blazed with fanatic determination. Touching reunion, he said, his voice carrying through the chamber. But you've made a critical mistake, Alpha Hale. Lucien was already moving, positioning himself between Draven and Kara. You're outnumbered. Surrender now, and I'll make your death quick. Outnumbered. Draven laughed. I don't think so. He raised his hand. And Kara screamed. It felt like hooks tearing into her soul. Kara collapsed, convulsing, silver light flickering erratically. Sarah caught her, felt her daughter's skin burning, her small body seizing. What did you do? Sarah shrieked at Draven. Insurance. Draven's smile was cruel. Did you think the protection spell was just to keep her safe? It was a binding. And I hold the other end. He clenched his fist. Kara screamed again. Lucien lunged, but 3 rogues intercepted him. Claws met flesh. Blood sprayed. The council chamber erupted into violence. Alphas who'd bent the knee to Kara now fought to protect her. Others saw opportunity kill the child, eliminate the threat. Rogues poured through the entrance. And in the center of it all, Sarah held her dying daughter. Kara, baby, stay with me. Can't. Stop it. Kara's eyes were rolling back. Mama, the spell, breaking me. Denna appeared, grabbing Sarah's arm. We need to get her out of here. No. Kara's hand shot out, gripping Denna's wrist with impossible strength. No running. End it, here. How? Sarah was sobbing now. Tell me how to save you. Break the spell. Break. Kara's gaze found Draven across the chaos. Kill him. Sarah's blood turned to ice. She'd never killed anyone. Never even considered it. She was a seamstress. A mother. A woman who survived by staying invisible. But as she looked at Draven, at the man who'd pretended to love her, who'd planted a child in her womb just to use that child as a weapon, something ancient and furious rose in her chest. Denna, she said quietly. Give me your knife. Sarah, give me your knife. Denna's eyes widened. Then she pressed a silver blade into Sarah's palm. Make it count. Sarah kissed Kara's forehead. Hold on, baby. Mama's got this. Then she stood. The fighting continued around her. Wolves tearing into each other. Lucien was buried under rogues, fighting with savage grace. Blood painted the ancient stones. Sarah walked through it all. Draven saw her coming. His smile widened. Finally decided to join us? Ready to give me what's mine. She was never yours. She's half mine. My blood. My. Sarah drove the knife into his chest. Not his shoulder this time. Not a warning. His heart. Draven's eyes went wide. Shocked. You can't. I'm her mother. Sarah twisted the blade. And I'd burn the world for her. Draven's body convulsed. The spell binding Kara shattered like glass. Sarah felt it break, felt the hooks release their grip. Behind her, Kara gasped. Air rushing back into lungs. Draven collapsed, blood pooling beneath him. His final words were a whisper. She'll destroy everything. Good, Sarah said. Then his eyes went empty. The rogues, feeling their leader's death, faltered. Lucien used the moment to tear through his attackers, reaching Sarah in seconds. Are you hurt? No. She looked down at the blood on her hands. Draven's blood. Is that bad? That I don't feel guilty. That's survival. He pulled her close, checking her for injuries. You did what needed to be done. Mama. Kara ran to them, no longer glowing but alive, whole. You saved me. Sarah dropped to her knees, crushing her daughter against her chest. Always, baby. Always. Around them, the fighting was ending. The rogues, leaderless, surrendered or fled. The alphas who'd fought for Kara stood victorious. Those who'd opposed her were either dead or kneeling. Morvenna descended from the dais, her ancient face unreadable. Impressive, the elder said. A human woman killing a wolf alpha. That's unprecedented. She's not just human, Kara said, standing on shaky legs. She's Ashenfell. The bloodline is dormant in her, but it's there. She just proved it. Morvenna studied Sarah. Is this true? Can you feel your wolf? Sarah wanted to say no. Wanted to cling to her humanity. But something had awakened when she'd killed Draven. Something primal and powerful and right. I don't know, she admitted. But I felt something. Then you are even more valuable than we thought. Morvenna turned to Kara. You've proven your bloodline. Demonstrated your power. But you're still a child. The council cannot accept a 5-year-old as queen. I'm not asking you to. Kara's voice was steady. I'm asking you to accept a regency. Alpha Hail and my mother will rule in my name until I come of age. Together, they'll unite the old ways and the new. Break the curse. End the violence. And if we refuse? Kara's eyes flashed silver. Then I'll wait 15 years. Grow into my power. And when I'm strong enough. She smiled, sweet and terrible. I'll tear down everything you've built and rebuild it myself. Your choice. The chamber was silent. Then, slowly, Morvenna bowed her head. Long live the Ashenfell line, she said. One by one, the other elders followed. Then the alphas. Then every wolf in the chamber. All kneeling before a 5-year-old girl and her human mother. Lucien stood beside Sarah, his hand finding hers. Ready to rule the supernatural world, he murmured. Absolutely not. She squeezed his fingers. But I'll do it anyway. That's my mate. The aftermath took hours. Bodies removed. Injuries treated. Oaths sworn. Gareth organized cleanup with military efficiency while Denna handled the political fallout, which alphas needed reassurance, which needed threats, which needed to be eliminated quietly. Sarah sat in a side chamber, washing Draven's blood from her hands, and tried to process what she'd done. You okay? Lucien crouched beside her. I killed a man. You killed a monster. There's a difference. Is there? She looked at him. What does that make me? A survivor. A mother. A queen. He took her clean hand. And my mate. If you'll have me. Sarah's breath caught. You're serious. About the mate thing. Completely. I know it's fast. I know you barely know me. But Sarah, I've been waiting my whole life for you. I'll wait as long as you need. But I'm not letting you go. What if I want to go? What if this is too much? Then I'll let you. I'll protect you from a distance. Make sure you're safe. But I'll never stop, his voice roughened. I'll never stop loving you. Tears burned Sarah's eyes. This man. This impossible, powerful, good man. I don't love you yet, she whispered. I need you to know that. I don't trust this bond or fate or whatever this is. I know. But I could. Love you. Given time. Given. She touched his face. Given the chance to know you're real. Lucien turned his head, pressing a kiss to her palm. I'm real. And I'm yours. For as long as you'll have me. Even if I'm a terrible queen? Especially then. Keeps things interesting. Despite everything, Sarah laughed. And in that moment, with blood still under her fingernails and the weight of a crown she never wanted, she let herself hope. 3 months later, the world looked different. Sarah stood in the workshop Lucian had built for her, not in Hale Tower, but in a renovated warehouse in Crescent Street. Her old neighborhood. Where it all started. Wooden wolves covered every surface. The commission for the gala had been completed weeks ago. But she'd kept making them. Kept carving. Found peace in the familiar motion of blade against wood. "Mama, you have a meeting in an hour," Kara called from the doorway. She looked like any normal 6-year-old now, pigtails slightly crooked, chocolate on her face, her favorite stuffed wolf tucked under one arm. But her eyes still held centuries. "I know, baby. Just finishing this one." Sarah held up a small wolf midhowl. "What do you think?" "Beautiful. Like always." Kara bounded over, studying it. "Is this one for the Alpha Summit?" "Thought it might be a nice gesture. Show we're not all politics and threats." "Smart." Kara grinned. "Denna says you're getting good at this queen thing." "Denna's generous." Sarah set the wolf down carefully. "How are your lessons going?" "Good. I can shift my hand now." "See?" Kara held up her right hand, and for a moment it rippled, claws extending before settling back to human. "Lucian says I'm a natural." Pride and terror roared in Sarah's chest. "That's wonderful, baby. Just remember, only in the secure rooms. Never where humans can see." "I know, Mama." Kara rolled her eyes with all the exasperation of a normal child. "You tell me every day. Because I worry." "I know." Kara hugged her. "But I'm okay. Really. Better than okay. I have you. I have Lucian. I have a whole pack protecting me." She pulled back, her old young eyes searching. "Are you okay?" Sarah considered lying, then decided her daughter deserved better. "Most days, yes. Some days, I wake up and can't believe this is my life. That I'm helping run a secret supernatural government. That I killed a man. That I'm," she gestured vaguely, "whatever I am now. Because that was the truth." In the months since Draven's death, Sarah had changed. Her senses had sharpened. Her strength had increased. Once, when startled, she'd punched through a wall. The dormant Ashenfell bloodline was waking. "You're my mama," Kara said simply. "Everything else is just extra." Sarah kissed her forehead. "When did you get so wise?" "I'm 306, remember? I've had practice." They laughed together. Normal. Human. Despite everything. A knock on the door interrupted them. Lucian entered, looking devastating in a charcoal suit, his hair slightly disheveled from running his hands through it, a tell Sarah had learned meant he was stressed. "Bad news?" she asked. "Complicated news. The European Pax want a formal meeting. They've heard about Kara. They want assurances. That we're not going to conquer them?" "Something like that." He moved to her, his hand automatically finding her waist. "A habit now. Grounding for both of them. I know you're tired of politics. I'm tired of people treating my daughter like a weapon. I know. But we're almost through it. Once the major packs accept her claim, the smaller ones will fall in line. Then we can actually start making changes. Breaking the curse. Building something better." Sarah leaned into him. Over the past 3 months, she'd learned his rhythms. His tells. The way his voice gentled when he spoke to Kara. The way his eyes tracked her across any room. The way he'd wake from nightmares and reach for her, needing to confirm she was real. She'd learned she could trust him. And more, she'd learned she was falling in love with him. "Okay," she said quietly. "Set up the meeting. We'll handle it." "We." Hope flickered in his storm-gray eyes. "We. You and me. Partners. Isn't that what mates are supposed to be?" Lucian's smile was devastating. "Yes. That's exactly what we're supposed to be." He kissed her. Soft. Sweet. Full of promise. Kara made gagging noises. "Gross. You're being mushy again." "Get used to it, little wolf," Lucian said, not taking his eyes off Sarah. "You're stuck with us." "Lucky me." But Kara was grinning. The Alpha Summit was held in a neutral location, a mountain lodge owned by no pack, secured by Gareth's best teams. 50 alphas from across the globe. Hundreds of seconds and enforcers, all gathered to witness the new order. Sarah wore armor disguised as a dress, black silk that moved like water, designed by her own hands, reinforced with silver thread blessed by Morvenna herself. Protection and statement combined. Kara stood beside her in a smaller version, looking every inch the queen she would someday be. And Lucien stood at Sarah's other side, his presence a promise. Touch them and face me. The meeting was tense. Questions were asked. Challenges made. Some alphas pushed for proof of Kara's bloodline. Others demanded limits on her future power. But through it all, Sarah held her ground. She spoke of unity instead of dominance. Of breaking the curse that made violence inevitable. Of building a world where wolves could live openly, safely, without fear of discovery or persecution. My daughter isn't your weapon, she said when one alpha suggested using Kara to intimidate human governments. She's not your queen yet either. She's a child. And she deserves the chance to grow up without carrying the weight of your expectations. Then what good is she? The alpha sneered. She's hope. Lucien's voice was steel. She's proof that our kind can evolve. Can be better. And anyone who sees her as anything less, his eyes flashed amber, can answer to me. The alpha backed down. By the end of the summit, compromises had been reached. Kara would grow up under protected regency. When she came of age, she would be tested. If she proved worthy, the Pax would unite under Ashenfell rule. If not, the old system would continue. It wasn't perfect, but it was progress. That night, after Kara was asleep and the guards were posted and the endless political maneuvering had finally ceased, Sarah found Lucien on the lodge balcony. He stood in moonlight, staring at the mountains, his shoulders tense. "You okay?" she asked softly. "I keep waiting for it to fall apart. For someone to challenge us. For Draven to have had a backup plan we missed. He didn't. We won." She moved to stand beside him. "Why is it so hard for you to believe that?" "Because I've spent 15 years as Alpha. And in those 15 years, I've learned that victories are temporary. That peace is an illusion. That the moment you relax, he stopped. I'm sorry. I'm being morbid. You're being realistic. And careful. That's what makes you good at this." Sarah took his hand. "But you're also allowed to be happy, Lucien. To believe we might actually get a future." He looked at her. Really looked. "Do you believe that? That we'll get a future?" "I'm starting to." She smiled. 3 months ago, I was a broke seamstress trying to survive one day at a time. Now I'm helping run a supernatural government and raising a reincarnated queen. If that's not proof that anything is possible." Lucien kissed her. Hard and desperate and full of everything he couldn't say. When they broke apart, both breathing hard, Sarah pressed her forehead to his. "I love you," she whispered. "I didn't want to. I fought it. But I love you." Lucien's hands cupped her face like she was precious. Breakable. The most important thing in his world. "I love you too. So much it terrifies me." "Good. We can be terrified together." They stood there in the moonlight, holding each other, and let themselves believe. In futures. In love. In the impossible possibility that they might actually survive this. 5 years later, Sarah stood in the same Crescent Street market where it all began. But everything was different now. The market thrived. Businesses flourished. And everyone knew that this neighborhood was under the protection of Alpha Hale and his mate. Crime had plummeted. Poverty had decreased. Hope had returned. Sarah walked through the stalls, Lucien's hand in hers, and watched Kara dart ahead. 10 years old now. Still glowing with that ancient power, but learning to be a child first. Learning that she had time. "Mama, look." Kara held up a wooden wolf. Carved by a new artist. A young boy who'd set up shop in the same spot where Kara had once stood, desperate and small. "It's beautiful," Sarah said honestly. "Should we buy it?" Absolutely. Because she remembered. Would always remember. The night a little girl tugged on a dangerous man's sleeve. The night everything changed. As they walked home to the penthouse that was now theirs, filled with Kara's artwork and Sarah's designs and Lucien's careful protection, Sarah felt complete. Not perfect. They still had battles to fight. Kara still had enemies. The curse wasn't fully broken yet. But they had each other. And for a woman who'd once had nothing, that was everything. Happy? Lucien murmured, pulling her close. Deliriously. She kissed him. You. More than I ever thought possible. Ahead of them, Kara laughed at something Gareth said, her voice ringing through the night. And Sarah thought, this is what I was surviving for. Not just to live, but to thrive. To love and be loved. To build a family from broken things and call it home. Years later, when Kara ascended to her throne and united the packs, when the curse finally shattered and wolves could walk freely in sunlight, when peace became more than a dream, people would ask Sarah how it all began. And she would smile. Hold up a wooden wolf. Tell them about a night market and a desperate child and an alpha king who stopped when he should have kept walking. About the moment fate decided to give them all a second chance. About the family they built from danger and love and stubborn, beautiful hope. Buy my toy, sir, she would say softly. That's how it started. And everything else? Sarah's smile would widen. Everything else was just us refusing to give up. Hey there, beautiful souls. Thank you so much for joining us on Sarah, Lucien, and Kara's incredible journey. If this story touched your heart, if you believed in their love, their fight, their victory, please hit that like button and subscribe to Cindy's Wolfheart stories for more emotional, thrilling tales of love and survival. Drop a comment below telling us your favorite moment from the story. Were you Team Sarah from the start, or did Lucien's devotion win you over? And as always, tell us where you're watching from. Our pack spans the globe, and we love hearing from every corner of the world. Remember, beautiful souls, even in the darkest markets of our lives, hope can find us. Love can save us. And sometimes, the family we need most finds us when we're brave enough to ask for help. Until next time, keep believing in magic, in mates, and in the power of a mother's love. This is Cindy signing off. Stay wild, stay fierce, and stay tuned for our next adventure.